The Earth is known as the water planet. We have more water than all the other planets combined. According to Zecharia Sitchin, a huge planet hit the Earth many, many eons ago and split off part of it, leaving this huge empty space that's filled with water. To some extent, our body is much like the Earth. We are filled with water. At least 75% of this physical being that we are is pure, unadulterated water. Well, it should be pure, unadulterated water. And we need to drink enough water to keep it pure. One of the great problems that has occurred over the last century is that not only is our water supply polluted over much of the Earth, but the water we drink in much of the so-called civilized world has been chlorinated and often fluoridated. Prior to the introduction of chlorine into our water supply, coronary artery disease was a reportable disorder. It was so rare that it was actually like an infectious disease. Within 10 years of the chlorination of water, we began to have an epidemic of coronary artery disease. Now, I'm not saying that's the only cause, but we need to look at that as one of the prevalent problems in our society. Some unwise individual a year or so ago decided that people really didn't need to drink any water. They could get all they wanted out of food and drink. Well, I don't think that's true. The kidneys have to filter that blood to get rid of all kinds of waste products, from nitrogen to minerals of various kinds and other waste products. And without adequate water, the kidneys begin to fail. The United States has a greater number, percentage-wise, of kidney failure people than all other countries in the world combined. Perhaps it's not just due to our problems with water, it may due to preoccupation with too many drugs, but at least water deficiency is very common. Dehydration is extremely common. Personally, I think that it is extremely wrong, in fact ill, to avoid drinking approximately half of your body weight in ounces. That is, if you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink 75 ounces of water a day. Now, you could use herb teas, but pop does not count as either water or food. It's junk, and it pollutes our body, and the kidneys then have a much more difficult job dealing with what we put through it. So water is the foundation for life. Other than air, nothing is more important. Our cells are filled with water. The brain is surrounded by water. The spinal cord is surrounded by water. It acts as a cushion for us. And water is a crystal. And frankly, I personally believe that water is the interface between the etheric energy system and the physical system. But water is critically important. In medicine today, we don't pay much attention to water. Most of our drugs are pills or capsules, occasional liquids. But going back just a couple of hundred years, Hahnemann discovered that when he diluted certain materials thousands of times, millions, billions, and perhaps even in today's world, quadrillion times, it potentized the substance. His original concept for homeopathy was like cures like. So he found that if he used any substance that caused in regular dosages, so to speak, a symptom or multiple symptoms, that giving it in this extremely diluted fashion actually treated the illness with those symptoms. Now, in the last couple of years, I personally have done a research project with a specific homeopathic product in water that quite strikingly, highly statistically significantly, improved several aspects of immune function. In my own practice, I do use some homeopathic products, although I'm not a homeopath, but it's so good that it has to be used, in my opinion, in certain situations. And of course, any of our metabolic processes won't function without adequate water. In the last few years, I personally have been working on another project, which is the foundation for life itself in the cells, the DNA. We all have in every cell DNA. And most people know what DNA is, but they may not know about telomeres. You know, we have this double helix. And at the end of both parts of the strands of DNA, there are things we call telomeres. The telomeres are born with the DNA, and they shrink an average of 1% per year from birth, so that if you have really good health habits, the chances are you may well live to be 100 years. And we know a few people, because of good genes or something, will live a bit beyond that. The oldest reported that we can be certain of is about 123, and very, very few get past 110. Well, water, of course, is a conductor, and it allows us to conduct electricity. And everything that takes place in our body is electrical, thanks to that electrical capacity of our body. We're like giant quartz crystals. Our muscles, our tendons, our intestines, and our skeleton are all piezoelectric, which means that when we tap it with a physical instrument of some kind, it actually converts to electricity. I have been working with frequencies in human DNA resonance frequencies. Human DNA resonates, which to me means vibrates, at 54 to 78 billion cycles per second. And we're bathed in a field of those frequencies, 54 to 78 billion cycles. We absorb it through the skin. And we've demonstrated for the first time in history that we can rejuvenate or regrow telomeres an average of 2.5% in 10 months or 3.5% in 1 year. In August of this year, we will finish our 2-year project on regeneration of telomeres. And if it continues to grow, or show that they're growing at the rate we found in the first 10 months, then we know that this is going to be one of the critical factors in the future of health in this country.